Alright, so I'm going to show how to open up and disassemble this ASUS model GR8. I'm not sure if there's different model numbers for this for different configurations, but that's what it shows on here. So first thing you want to do, and if you need a replacement charger, it's a 19 volt 6.32 amp 120 watt. Okay, make sure that you're using that amperage or higher. The voltage needs to be exactly matching. Okay, that's usually how these chargers works. Okay, so first thing you want to do, turn it on its side here, or I guess on the back, and then here you can see on the front there's this lock mechanism. So what you want to do is slide this thing over to unlocked position, then lay it down like this. Okay, and then this cover you want to slide it over that way, so you just push it over just like that. After you do that, you can lift the cover off just like this. Alright, so underneath that cover you can see there's this hard drive caddy. This is actually for a secondary hard drive, so the main hard drive is actually underneath the motherboard, so we're going to be taking that out because the hard drive on this computer isn't working anymore, and we're going to have to replace it. And then what we're going to do is upgrade it to a solid state drive and then do a clean install Windows. I'm not going to show that whole process, but I will show the hard drive install or SSD install process. Alright, once you remove those 4 screws, this I forgot to mention, but the entire disassembly, you can use a PH1 or JIS1 screwdriver. Alright, so once you remove the 4 screws holding down this hard drive caddy, you can just grab this tab and slide it over. After you slide it over, you just pull it out. You can put a new hard drive or SSD in here. So the slot, it goes like this. So if you look at it, the smaller connector goes to this side and then the larger one goes that way. So basically the hard drive would go like this. And then if you have the screws, you would put the screws in here. The problem is if yours didn't come with a hard drive, you probably won't have these kinds of screws because these are slightly bigger than the ones that came out from the caddy. So what you can do is you can kind of hold it so that the screw holes line up, and then you can use some tape, just wrap it around, or you can put something here to kind of space it, like a piece of cardboard, and then you can wrap some tape so that way this hard drive doesn't like move around like this. Okay, so I'm gonna set that aside for now, set the caddy aside for now, and yeah, you can use any 2.5-inch SATA hard drive. I'm gonna use a SSD. But anyways, after that, you can check the RAM here. You can flip this door up. I just use my fingernail. You can use a pry tool or whatever. Just pull this up here, and then here you can see the RAM. There's only one stick, but you can add a second stick. There's a slot there for it. Okay, just pull these 2 metal tabs to the side, and the stick of RAM should pop up like this. Once you do that, you can kind of pull the stick of RAM out. And here you can see this is an 8 gig PC3L 12800S. So usually you'll want a matching stick for best performance, so get another 8 gig PC3L 12800S, and then your computer should run a bit faster. Okay. The RAM usually isn't as big of a speed increase as switching to an SSD, so if you wanted to increase the speed of your computer, I would highly recommend upgrading to an SSD. Alright, so after that, we're going to open up the whole computer so that we can get to the main hard drive. Looks like there's a little hole here, probably for a BIOS or CMOS reset. Usually you can use like a needle to push that for a few seconds, like 10 to 15 seconds, just to reset the BIOS. But anyways, we're going to open up this whole computer. So 1 screw there, 1 screw in this corner. Alright. Then we got another screw down here. Try and keep all the screws in order because they are different size, shapes, and lengths, and you don't want to get them mixed up. If you put the wrong ones in the wrong holes, you can actually damage things. Okay, so we got those 4 screws. Then you got this 1 screw that was underneath that hard drive caddy. Okay, you got another one here. Remove that one as well. Alright, then we got these 2 corner screws. Oops, sorry, my head's getting in the way. Alright, so now that we got all those screws out, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, once you got those 8 screws out of the way, what I do is under here you can kind of grab hold with your fingers, assuming you don't have another stick of RAM there. You might have to take the RAM out if it's in the way, but get your fingers under there, Okay, and then you can pull up here. If the thing doesn't come out, you can slide a thin pry tool or your fingernail across the edge of this here while you're pulling this up, just like this. Okay. All right, and then you just go around, work your way around, and slowly pull this cover up. Okay, there we go. So now we got this cover out. Now we're gonna have to remove the motherboard. So this is a little bit tricky because the wireless card is here. So I'm gonna show you how to remove it. You don't actually have to remove this big card that's right here, but I'm gonna do it anyways just to show. So first you wanna peel up this black adhesive here, just so it's no longer holding these wireless antennas. Okay, and then we can actually pull this. This is just a little USB wireless card. Okay, so what I do is there's this raised bump here, and then I'll use that to help pull it. Okay, be careful with the antennas, but pull it like this. Okay, wiggle it and pull it out. All right, so there we go. We got the wireless card disconnected. You don't need to remove the wireless antennas. Let me zoom in. I'll show you if you want to remove it for some reason. Oops. If you want to remove it for some reason, you just grab from the tail, okay, and then you just pull it up like this. Okay, so you can kind of wiggle it around as you pull it, and there we go. That's how you remove the antenna. To put it back, you just line it back up. Make sure it's lined up. You just, once you get it lined up in place, then the piece will actually stay in place if you try and move it around. Okay, after you have it lined up, just push it down. All right, just like that. Okay, it should seat all the way in place, and there we go. All right, so I'm gonna leave the wireless card out of the way, and then if you want, you can remove this card. I'm not exactly sure what this is, but it does have the CMOS reset button there, as you can see, so that lines up with the hole. Okay, so you take out that one screw, and then yeah, if you want to take this out, move the adhesive out of the way, and then you can actually slide this whole card out back like this. Okay, so you don't actually need to remove this, so I'm actually going to leave that in. All right, I don't know if this just adds a USB port and the BIOS reset switch. It probably does some other things, so I'm going to leave it in there just to be safe. Okay. All right, and we'll leave the tape over the top. Okay, so next what we're going to want to do, here you can see where the unlock switch is that we just, oops, let me zoom back out a little bit. Sorry if I went out of view, I can see. There we go. All right, so you got this unlock latch. So this metal tab is in the way, so we're going to have to remove the one screw down there. Hold the latch so it doesn't spin around when you twist it, okay? And then just undo that screw. Once you undo the screw, you can actually lift out this whole metal bracket, okay? And set it aside, keep the screw with it. You want to make sure to put it back. All right. So now what we're going to do is remove all the screws. Here you can see the CMOS or the BIOS battery. If you wanted to replace this, there's this little connector here. You kind of just grab it and then wiggle it and pull it up. I don't want to take it out because it'll reset the BIOS. Or actually, I've already reset the BIOS on there, so I'll show this. But basically, let's see if I can zoom in a little bit. Okay, basically I just use my fingernails at the wings of the connector. Sorry, it's shaking around a lot. All right, and then you just grab it, wiggle it, and just keep wiggling it as you pull. Okay, just like this, and there you go. So that's how you pop out the CMOS or the BIOS battery connector. I'm gonna leave it plugged in. Okay, so just line it back up. Push it back down. There we go. All right, let's zoom back out. Oops, too far. Okay, so now what we're going to do is remove the motherboard from here. So we're going to have to remove all the screws. They actually put little arrows pointing to the screws, but just remove them in that pattern, okay? Or where they have those arrows. It helps you know where the screws came from. All right, so we got that one. This one is kind of hidden because we put that card back, but there's one screw up here, so we'll remove this one as well. Okay. All right. There's a few screws that actually don't have arrows. There's another screw here. Okay. So 3. I think I removed 6 screws from, or 7 screws from this. Okay, so 3. And then there's another one down here with an arrow. I don't know if these 2 screws need to be removed, but I removed them anyways. Okay. 4, 5, okay, 6, and 7. Alright, so I don't know if these two actually had to be removed. They are smaller and thinner. So again, you don't want to mix up the screws, try and keep them all in order. Alright, once you got all those screws out, what you do, turn it this way. Here you can see the fan heatsink. There's little extended plastic pieces here that get in the way, so you do have to kind of pull this out of the way. But we're going to lift the board up here, okay? So I like to lift from here, and then you kind of pull these plastic pieces out of the way as you lift it. Alright, hopefully I didn't miss any screws. Make sure the wireless card is out of the way, or the antenna. Okay, and then slowly lift this up. Once you get that lifted, you can kind of move your hand over, reposition it a little bit to get a better grip. Okay, and then you kind of just wiggle this as you slowly lift it. Okay, make sure that you're grounded, like touching something metal, so that way if you have static built up, it won't go into the board. Alright, and then once you lift it up enough, there's also this part here that kind of gets caught, then you can pull the whole board out. So here we go, we got the whole motherboard and everything out. The CPU and GPU are soldered to the board, so you can't upgrade them. Okay, and I don't know what this cable is for, but they got a cable running from this end of the board to this other end of the board. It doesn't look like you can do anything with it, so I'm going to leave it be. Alright, so to remove the hard drive, it looks like there's 2 screws here holding it. The fan is also making some loud buzzing noise, so I'm going to see if I can repair the fan. But anyways, let's remove the hard drive. You want to put some pressure on the bottom where the screw is, because you don't want to like put force where it's like uneven. Here, if you can see, it kind of wobbles like that. So you want to put some pressure under there with your finger to prevent it from cracking the board. Okay, so remove that one screw. And then we'll remove this screw as well. Okay, so remove those 2 screws. After you do that, we should be able to grab this and then slide it over that way. There we go. So the hard drive comes out really easily. And these are the 4 screws I was talking about. If you're actually adding a second hard drive, if you want, you can actually take 2 of the screws from this and then just put one on each corner. So I would put like one here and then one on the back corner, so that way it kind of stays in place. So if you wanted to do this without getting new screws, you can do that, unless it's too scary to completely pull the whole board out. Then you'll just do the tape method. Okay, so here you can see, oh actually this bracket is like 2 separate pieces, so it might be difficult to do with just the one screw on each side. But anyways, so we're gonna put the screws onto the bracket, okay, onto the new one just to replace it, just like this. Okay, yeah, so since this one uses 2 separate brackets, not like a whole caddy, then I don't know if taking one screw from each, it might cause some problems actually when you put this back in. So you might want to just do the tape method. Alright, so now we're going to get the screws out from this bracket. Alright, sorry if my hand is blocking the view. Okay, so we'll set the hard drive aside. We're going to put this bracket here. Alright, get it lined up. Put the screw in loosely. Get the second screw. Same thing. Put that screw in. Alright, so now we got all the screws in for these brackets. First I'm going to actually take out the fan since I have to work on that, but if all you're doing is the hard drive, you can just slide that back in and put the screws back. Okay, so I'll set that aside for now. Let's try and remove this fan. So it looks like there's 3 screws holding the fan in, and then there's the fan connector here. So the fan connector comes out just like the CMOS or the BIOS battery connector. Just use your fingernails or whatever tool you got, and then just wiggle it as you pull it, and it will pop out just like that. Okay, So we're going to remove the 3 screws from the fan. Okay. Alright, just like this. Again, all these screws are different size, shapes, and lengths, so you do want to keep them in order, keep track of them. You don't want to put them back in the wrong place. If it helps, you can take pictures of each screw you remove and where they came from. Alright. Okay, so now that we got all 3 screws out, we should be able to lift the fan. There might be some adhesive holding it here. Let's see. Yep, it is kind of held in. I don't know if there's anything else holding this fan in place. I don't see anything else. Okay, so let's try and peel this up. So there's adhesive on the sides of the fan here. There's adhesive on this side of the fan here. And then there's also the adhesive holding up here. Okay, so we're going to peel off this as well. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, so we're just peeling up all this adhesive. There we go. So hopefully now it will come out. Let's see, something is still holding it. Oh, they must have put adhesive on the other side of the fan as well. So to peel this, I think what I'm going to have to do is hold down the heatsink here and then pull this fan up. Let's see if it'll come out. Okay, give me a second. Someone's calling me. I'll be back. Alright, sorry about that. I'm back. So as I was saying, hold this up and then you want to push down on the heatsink part here because most likely they put adhesive on the underside of the fan. So the other way, you'd have to actually take all this whole heatsink out and then you'd have to redo all the thermal paste. I'm trying to avoid doing that, so I'm just gonna try and peel it up from this side if possible. Let's see here. Yeah, I can actually see the adhesive under there, so I'm just pushing down on the heatsink while I try and pull the fan up to hopefully peel it away from that adhesive. Okay, there we go. So you can see the adhesive came out. Okay, so when we put it back, we just have to put it back here. But here you can see there's a lot of dust in it. We're going to have to actually clean this dust up. I just use a toothbrush and then I use an air blower. So I'm going to clean the dust off and then I'll be back. Let me zoom out a little bit. Alright, I'll be back. Alright, so I'm back. I just cleaned off the dust from the board and the fan grate. So it's not as bad as before. There's still a tiny bit of stuff, but it won't come out because that's stuck to the adhesive. Alright, so I'm going to set this aside for now. Alright, and now we're going to work on opening up the fan. So to open up the fan, hopefully this fan is repairable, but what you want to do, peel off these foil things, or at least peel them up so they're not on this gray part. Okay, just peel it up just like this. Okay, you can use whatever you want to peel it up. Some people get annoyed by me using my fingernails, but here we go. Okay, just peel it up just like that. Alright, peel this one off as well. Okay, just like this. Alright, there we go. And then we're going to need like a razor blade or something sharp. Okay, oops. This. Sorry. My razor blade got stuck. I put some magnets on it. Okay, so just get a razor blade, something like this, and you see these little black tabs. We're going to have to cut those off. Okay, so just kind of saw your way through it. You don't want to just slice real quick because then you can end up cutting yourself. Okay, and try and keep your finger away from the blade as you're cutting. Okay, so just like this. Okay, you'll know you did it right because the slit should be a lot thinner once you cut away the plastic. Okay, you'll see the black tab that's sticking through. Okay, so there's 5 of these, so we're going to cut all of these. Okay, again, if you do like the side-to-side motion to cut it, then there's a lot less chance that the blade will like go flying out after. There we go. Okay, so once you've cut all of those, you should be able to pull this gray piece out, okay, and set it aside. If you want, you can brush the dust off of there as well. Okay. All right, so here you can see it's a lot cleaner. All right, so after that, hopefully we can pull this propeller blade out. Oh no, I think this model's not repairable. So usually, okay, it's just stuck with the grease. So hold down this metal plate and apply even force upwards. You don't want to like tilt it to one side or you can break it. You want to pull it straight up, okay? Just like that. So the grease was so bad, actually it was making it really hard to pull this up. Once we redo the grease, it should be really easy to move that, to pull this out, okay? So what I'm going to do now is get a piece of paper and just clean the inside of this. All right, just to get most of the dust out. Okay, so now what you're going to want to do, we're going to be adding some motor oil to this. If you don't have motor oil, usually people will have a car or their parents will have a car. You can pull the dipstick out. If you're not sure how to do that, you can ask your parents and then just tell them you need like a drop of oil or something. Okay, so usually what I'll do is I'll take the bottle of oil, I'll tilt it over, and then I use like a needle. You can use like a toothpick or something, works really well. Just get a little bit of oil on there and then just drop it into the fan hole there, okay? Get a little bit more and then just drip it into there. Okay, so that basically helps remove the old gunky oil. You just put the fan back in and then here you can spin it. So before it would barely even spin. Now you can see the way you know it's good is when you move the fan, it wiggles back and forth like this, okay? So there you can see it's a lot better. And usually I'll do this once or twice just to clear out any gunk. So I'll take the paper, wipe off the oil that is on there, okay? And then I'll drip in some more clean oil, okay? All right, I'll do this again. So usually I'll do this like 2 times just to clean it up. Okay, oops. All right, get the fan, put it back in. Okay, so doing this helps clean out the old oil. When the oil gets old and gunky, I don't know if you've seen when you cook with oil, it starts turning into like a gooey mess. And that's what happens. Usually it's like combines with the dust and things like that and makes it worse. So we're gonna clean this off. And then we'll just add the oil one more time. If you want, you can try and clean the oil out from there too. But that's pretty much all we need to do to fix the fan. Okay. Oops, I dropped it in the thingy, but it should be okay. All right, so there we go. Let me clean it up a little bit. Okay, so the oil shouldn't conduct electricity, so it should be okay if you did happen to get it there. But try and avoid doing that just so it doesn't get all gunky around those areas, okay? If it does get too gunky, you can use a little rubbing alcohol to help clean it up. Okay, so there we go. Put the fan back in. And here you can see the fan is so much better. Before it was like getting stuck. It was making like sounds, like a grinding noise when, and that's because it sticks. So instead of like spinning smoothly, it's just like rubbing and catching on there. Okay, so now we got the fan repaired. We're gonna put this metal plate back. I recommend putting some tape to hold this together. If you want, you can put glue, but I recommend putting tape because the tape, you can peel it up later in case you need to repair the fan again in the future. Okay, so just line up the little notches. It's a little bit hard to do this in camera because that's not in a good viewing angle for me. So I'm gonna hold it over here, okay, and then just push them in place. You'll kind of hear it snap, and usually it will hold itself in place okay, but you do want to put some tape to keep it from popping out. All right, so I'm gonna grab some tape. You can use any kind of tape. I just use this this clear, super thin packaging tape. I find that it holds really well. Okay, so just cut a piece. Okay, So usually I'll cut a piece like this, and then I'll just cut this into strips, okay? And then what you do is just put it close to where those plastic tabs were, and then just wrap it over like that, okay? And you want to do that on all of them. So there's the parts with the foil tape, so it'll actually hold it already, but just in case, I like to put the tape anyways. Just wrap it over like that, okay? Very simple. Okay. Put the tape, wrap it over. Right. And then this one, because there's two sides, I'm just going to put tape on both sides of it. Okay. Alright, there we go. Get the tape, stick it on there. Get the tape, stick it on there. Oops, sorry, I'm going out of camera. Just flip them over. There we go. Then we can wrap the foil tape back over the top as well. The adhesive kind of came out, so it's not going to hold as well as before, but should be okay. Alright, so now this metal plate should hold on pretty tight, okay? Alright, so now we're going to put it back together. Let's grab the main board here. Okay, it's just like this. There was this one rubber piece here. I'm not sure where it came from. Oh, where'd it go? There was like a small rubber piece. Oh, here. So I don't know where this little foam piece came from, but I might have to rewatch my video and find out. Okay, so anyways, we're going to put the fan back in. Let's zoom out a little bit so it's easier to see. Okay, move the old hard drive out of the way. Okay, so we're going to slide this adhesive piece back underneath. Okay, just like that. You kind of have to tilt it up to get it underneath. And there we go, line it up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the screws back first, or at least put them in loosely. Okay, so I like to loosely put the screws first just to make sure it's lining up properly. Okay, this one's not lined up properly. There we go. Okay, so now that we got that, let's plug it back in. So we'll reconnect the fan. Just get that connector in and then push on both sides. You should feel kind of a little click. All right. And then now that we got all these screws in place, you can kind of move the fan around and then squeeze these pieces to stick back onto the fan, and then push this piece of adhesive back down as well. If it doesn't stick very well, what you can do is you can put some tape running across here to kind of help keep this seal, because this seal keeps the airflow going straight into the heatsink and not going back into the computer. So as you can see, it kind of like wants to come back up, so I am going to use some tape to hold it back down. All right. Okay, so let's see, what tape should I use? I'm actually going to use some nice painter's tape, because then that will come out easily if I need to take it back out. Alright, let's use the scissors so it's nice. Okay. Alright, so we'll just get this and we'll just tape it across. Okay, just like this. Don't want to cover the fan vent. Just like that. Okay, so this will keep the seal. I'm gonna wrap that over as well. Okay, there we go. Now we'll just set that aside. Okay. Alright, so now we got this all sealed up. What we're gonna do is put it back in place. So let's grab the case. Oh, actually, let's put the SSD in, of course. Alright, so grab the SSD. Make sure you got the connectors facing the right way. And then make sure you put pressure on this as well. So when you squeeze the two together, you don't want to just put all the pressure here, because then you can rip this connector off the board. Okay, just like that. And then we'll tighten in the screw. Just put it loosely at first. Get the other screw, same thing. All right, and then tighten it down. Just like that. All right, there we go. So now we got all the screws in. Okay, so now we're going to put it back into the case here. Zoom out a little bit more. Okay, so just like before, the plastic needs to clear this piece. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put it at an angle like this. Make sure to hold the antennas out of the way. Okay, you wanna line up the headphone jacks, all these little ports here, because they go into the slot. So you wanna make sure that those go in properly. Okay, so get those all lined up. That's the most important part. Okay, once you got those lined up, then you can slowly lower it down. Okay, and of course you have to pull these plastic pieces out to the side, so that way the board can drop into place. Okay, so just like that. Make sure the antennas stay on this side. Okay, and then slowly drop it into place. Okay, there we go. All right. Make sure it's going in properly. Okay, this side too. All right, and then pull the stuff out of the way. Make sure it's going down properly. Feels like it's getting caught on something here, so I might have to open this and check what's going on. Let's lift it back up and see why it's getting caught. I don't see anything under there. It should be fine. So let's see here. Maybe some pieces aren't lining up completely, so you make sure to kind of push them in. Okay, and slowly drop this down. Okay, so here we can see this piece is lining up, and then this. For some reason this side is having a little bit of issues. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the heatsink wasn't actually going completely under. You want to make sure the heatsink goes completely underneath these protruding plastic pieces. Okay, then you can peel up this black tape again, and then plug this USB wireless card back in. Squeeze these two pieces together just like this to plug it in. All right, make sure the antennas go underneath this board just like that. Okay, and then put the tape back on top. And now we just have to put back all the screws. So we'll take this screw here, put that one in. Okay, take this screw. And because we replaced the hard drive, we are going to have to reinstall Windows on there. The old hard drive was completely dead. It wouldn't read at all. If your hard drive can still read, you can actually clone your hard drive before you do this. Probably should have mentioned that earlier, but you can actually clone the hard drive, so that way everything will remain as is, but it'll be on the faster SSD. Okay, now we're going to put back the last 3 screws for the board here. Just like this. Okay, 1, 2. Make sure you put it in the one with the arrow there. Alright, so again, you can add a second SSD. Alright, so now we're going to put back this connector here. So put that on top. There's the 2 little plastic notches to help hold it into place. Okay, and then you can tighten the screw. And then hold this metal piece so it doesn't twist those 2 things too strong. Okay, you want to keep the metal thing from turning too far. Okay, there we go, just like that. All right, make sure it's still in the unlocked position. Now we'll grab this, we'll put this back on top, and then just clip these back into place. Okay, you just push it down. All right, just go around and clip that into place. All right. make sure that it actually clipped in. You'll know because you can see that the gap is closed up. Okay, and now we put back these screws. So I don't know what this foam piece came from, but maybe it's not actually from this computer. I'll check the video later and see if I need to take it out, but it's most likely not needed. Alright. Just put back all the screws where we got them from. Okay, you can put back this hard drive caddy. Okay. Alright. And the last, oops, sorry, and the last screw. Go, and then put back the hard drive caddy screws, of course. Alright, and that's pretty much all there is to this model. Hopefully this video helped you guys. If it did, please like and subscribe. Help others find my videos. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to put this little cover back on as well. It does go, the ones with the longer legs do go to this side, so make sure you put it the right way. And then put that down. Alright, and then we put the cover back on, start it over to the right side, and then slide it back over, and then lock it back in place. Alright, and that's pretty much it. Again, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, help others find my videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!